Spiritual Captivity by Lou White. Chapter 5. Uninspired Words and Traditions. All the pillars, obelisks, and steeples come from the cup held by the whore Babel. She has made all the nations drunk from the filth of her abominations. We are not to learn the ways of the nations. Leviticus chapter 26, verse 1 reads, "Do not make idols for yourselves, and do not set up a carved image or a pillar for yourselves, and do not place a stone image in your land, to bow down to it. For I am Yahweh your Elohim." Daniel described the end of days, and Yahusha also spoke of him, and a time of the great distress of nations, in Daniel chapter 12, verses 3 to 4, and it reads, "And those who have insight shall shine like the brightness of space, and those who lead many to obedience like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, hide the words, seal the book until the time of the end. Many shall diligently search, and knowledge shall increase." The World History Encyclopedia has this to say: Byblos was the ancient port city of Jebel, called Byblos by the Greeks, on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea in what is today Lebanon. Pagan temples were located in coastal ports to exploit sexual tourism. The worship of the zodiac, that is, host of heaven, in their services was sexual, and this produced an overflow of unwanted children. Infanticide was the sacrificing of the children we read about at Leviticus chapter 18. Today we hear teachers refer to the Bible, a word originating from one of these fertility deities. Byblos is the name for one coastal city. Because papyrus was one of the principal articles in its trade, the Greeks took the name of the city as their word for book, Biblis, and from their word for books named our Bible, ta Biblia, which means the books. The Temple of Biblia gave the city its name, and also the book now referred to as the Bible. It is uninspired. Another source says, both the city of Byblos in Phoenicia and the city Byblos in Egypt were named after the female deity Byblos, also called Bible or Byblis. This idol was the granddaughter of Apollo, the Greek pagan sun idol. Biblia was also a name for Venus, an astral goddess and a goddess of sensuality among the ancient Greeks. When asked if the word Bible is a pagan word, organizations that use the word Bible in their name claim it is not a problem, but comes to us from the word for paper or parchment in the Greek language. In other words, nothing here, move along. Bible is not a word used in the inspired text. The inspired text calls itself Kathabimath at Daniel chapter 10, verse 21. See an interlinear to fact check. These words mean writing of truth in Hebrew. We have grown far too trusting. Eusebius began translating the Greek into Latin in 391 CE. For the next 1,200 years, his Latin vulgaris, meaning common, was believed to be inspired. It was used by the Anglican Catholics to produce the King James Version. Seaport cities offered easy access for wealthy traders to sell and buy all kinds of goods. The pagan temples located in these ports exploited the rich travelers' tourism. With brothels, the fertility temple's reference, worship services, is still used commonly by Gentile cultures. Shrine prostitutes brought great wealth to the cities through their shameful deeds. Paul warned his converts who had once been in these worship services. In Ephesians chapter 5, verses 11 to 13, and it reads, "And have no fellowship with the fruitless works of darkness, but rather expose them. For it is a shame even to speak of what is done by them in secret. But all things being exposed are manifested by the light, for whatever is manifested is light." We must not learn the ways of the heathen. See these references. Deuteronomy chapter 18. 2 Kings chapter 16, verse 17 and verse 21. And Yirmiyahu / Jeremiah chapter 32. Infanticide was institutionalized to eradicate surplus babies the fertility rites produced. Unwanted children were burned in the belly of Moloch, a metal furnace in the form of an idol, Drums, trumpets, bells, shakers, and rattles were used to create a great din to cover the dying screams of the infants being burned alive. Abortion is today's Moloch worship. Yahuwah is going to burn the inhabitants of the earth. See Yashayahu/Isaiah chapter 24. Jesus, uninspired word. A word of recent origin. Jesus is less than 500 years old. The letter J was invented from the Greek letter iota. It grew a curly tail in the 17th century when used as the first letter in a sentence, or the first letter of a proper noun. The Latin Vulgate and the first edition of the King James Version used IESV to represent the name, and had never known the true name, Yahusha. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 2 reminds us, "You know that you were Goyim, led away to the dumb idols, even as you might be led." In this case, Goyim is a reference to the nations, idolaters, and all foreigners living outside the covenant. By using the word Bible, the word of Yahuwah is being referred to by the actual name originating from a female idol of pleasure worshipped in Canaan and Egypt. Who is the Lord God? Read your translation's preface. It admits removing the name of Yahuwah and replacing it with a device, the English word Lord. Confute the uninspired words. The name God was adopted by Christianity, as was Bible. God in all uppercase, or God in all lowercase, is the common Teutonic word for personal object of religious worship, formerly applicable to superhuman beings of heathen myth. On conversion of Teutonic races to Christianity, term was applied to supreme being. This is from the 1945 Encyclopedia Americana. Exodus chapter 23, verse 13 reads, "And in all that I have said to you take heed, and make no mention of the names of other mighty ones. Let it not be heard from your mouth. Let's prove what we claim to believe, and live by every word that proceeds from the mouth of Yahuwah."